You felt it the moment you opened your eyes this morning, didn't you? That strange, quiet heaviness, mixed with a tiny, almost terrifying spark of anticipation. And if you need a safe place to hold on to that spark today, please consider subscribing so we can walk this road together. Before your feet even hit the floor, before the rush of the day's anxieties could flood your mind, there was a whisper in the stillness of your room. It wasn't a loud, booming voice. It was a subtle shift in the air, a gentle pressure against your spirit, telling you that the season of endless waiting has finally broken. You are so used to waking up and immediately putting on your armor just to survive the day. You are so accustomed to the familiar ache of disappointment that hope actually feels dangerous now. You've conditioned yourself to expect the other shoe to drop, to brace for the bad news, to look at your phone or your bank account or your medical chart with one eye closed, terrified of what you might see. But today, the atmosphere in your life is entirely different, even if your physical eyes cannot see it yet. There is a spiritual transaction that has already been completed in the unseen realm, and the decree has been stamped with 3 words that will change the trajectory of your entire life. It is done. To understand the magnitude of what is happening this morning, we have to look back at the absolute devastation you have silently endured over these past few months and years. Nobody truly knows how dark it got for you. You are the strong one, the person everyone else leans on, the one who smiles and gives advice and tells others that God will make a way. But behind closed doors, late at night, when the house was completely silent, you have wrestled with an agonizing loneliness. You have stared at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, feeling a crushing weight on your chest as you whispered into the dark, "Have you forgotten about me?" You have carried a backpack full of rocks up a never-ending mountain, exhausted to your very bones, wondering why your journey has to be so unbearably hard, while others seem to glide through life with effortless ease. You've watched people who don't even try, people who don't even pray, receive the exact blessings you have been crying out for. With a broken heart, you celebrated with them, because that is the kind of person you are. But the moment you got into your car and shut the door, the tears flowed. It wasn't malice or jealousy. It was just a deep, human grief. It was the raw, honest pain of feeling bypassed by grace. There was that specific day, not too long ago, when you completely broke down. You remember where you were. Maybe it was on the kitchen floor, the cold linoleum against your skin, after receiving yet another rejection, another delay, another piece of bad news. Or maybe it was in the shower, letting the hot water mask your tears so nobody in your house would hear you sobbing. In that moment of profound surrender, you didn't even have the strength to form eloquent prayers anymore. Your theology was stripped away. All your memorized scriptures faded into the background. Your prayer was reduced to a single desperate word: help. You felt stripped bare, completely emptied out, like a vessel that had been scraped clean until there was nothing left to give. You thought that breakdown was the end of your story. You thought it was the absolute, undeniable proof of your defeat. But what you didn't realize in that moment of agony was that heaven was paying incredibly close attention. God is never intimidated by your anger, your frustration, or your tears. In fact, that moment of total, unguarded vulnerability was the exact second the foundation for your miracle was poured. You had to be emptied out completely so that you could hold the magnitude of what is being released to you right now. Think about the way a seed actually grows. We see the beautiful flower or the mighty oak tree, but we ignore the violent process that happens underground. For a seed to transform, it must first be buried in complete darkness. It is surrounded by dirt. It is crushed by the weight of the soil above it. From the perspective of the seed, it has been buried alive and forgotten. But in reality, it has been planted. The very pressure that feels like it is destroying the seed is actually the catalyst that cracks its shell open, allowing the roots to reach deep into the unseen places to find water. You have been in the dirt. You have been isolated, covered in the heavy soil of uncertainty, feeling the intense pressure of financial strain, relational brokenness, or physical pain cracking your shell. It felt like a burial, but it was a planting. The roots of your faith, your character, and your resilience have been growing deep down into solid rock. You possess a depth now that you never could have acquired on the mountaintop. And now, the root system is finished. The underground work is complete. The first green shoot is breaking through the soil this very morning. There is a profound mystery in the timing of miracles. We live in a world of instant gratification, where we can order a meal or a package and track it to our doorstep in minutes. We expect heaven to operate on a fast-speed delivery schedule. But God operates outside of time, orchestrating a trillion unseen details to ensure that when your blessing arrives, you are fully equipped to sustain it. Imagine if a child inherited $10 million at the age of 5. The wealth, which is inherently good, would actually destroy them because they lack the maturity, the wisdom, and the capacity to manage it. Your delay was not a denial, it was a preparation. You were being fortified. If you had received the job, the partner, the healing, or the financial breakthrough a year ago, you might have squandered it, or worse, it might have crushed you under its weight. But the fires you have walked through have refined you like pure gold. You are no longer easily shaken. You no longer place your trust in the fragile promises of men. You have developed a fierce, unshakable reliance on the divine. And because of that, you are finally ready. As you let this truth wash over you, I want you to take a deep breath and just surrender the anxiety you woke up with today. Let it go. If you can feel this shift happening in your spirit right now, if you know in your bones that your season is changing, simply type Amen in the comments to seal this moment for yourself. It takes an incredible amount of courage to hope again after you have been disappointed so many times. It is much easier to wrap yourself in a blanket of cynicism. Cynicism feels safe because it expects the worst. Therefore, it can never be blindsided. But cynicism also blocks the miraculous. You are being asked today to do the bravest thing a human being can do. To open your hands, look up at the sky, and dare to believe that good things are coming to you. You are being asked to step out of the defense mechanism of doubt and step into the vulnerable, brilliant light of expectation. Let's talk about what this miracle actually looks like, because it rarely arrives in the package we anticipate. You might be looking for a burning bush or a parting of the sea, but God often moves in the profound quiet of everyday life. Your miracle might be the unexpected phone call this afternoon that changes your career path entirely. It might be the sudden, inexplicable softening of a heart in a family member who has been estranged for years. It might be a check in the mail that covers exactly what you need, down to the final cent. Or, perhaps most profoundly, your miracle might be an internal shift. It might be waking up tomorrow and realizing that the crushing anxiety that has gripped your throat for a decade is simply gone, replaced by a deep, river-like peace that makes absolutely no logical sense given your circumstances. You will look at the exact same problems that terrified you yesterday, but they will hold no power over you today. You will possess a quiet confidence, an inner knowing that the battle has already been fought and won on your behalf. This breakthrough is not just about you either. This is the part that often gets overlooked in our pain. When you are suffering, your world shrinks. You can only focus on surviving the next hour. But as you step into your deliverance this morning, you are breaking a cycle that has haunted your bloodline for generations. The poverty mindset, the addiction, the broken marriages, the chronic fear, those things stop with you. You were chosen for this specific difficult assignment because heaven knew you had the grit to endure the breaking. The miracle being released to you today is going to create a ripple effect that will bless your children, your grandchildren, and people you haven't even met yet. Years from now, Someone is going to look at your life, at the impossible obstacles you overcame, and they are going not to give up on their own life simply because they saw what God did in yours. Your current pain is the exact raw material being used to forge a lighthouse for someone else who is currently lost in the dark. Do not be surprised if, as you step into this new day, the enemy tries to throw a sudden, loud distraction your way. The moment a prisoner is about to be released, the chains always rattle the loudest. You might receive a frustrating email, or have a strange argument, or feel a sudden, intense wave of self-doubt. Recognize it for what it is: the frantic, dying noise of an old season trying desperately to pull you back in. Do not engage with it. Do not argue with the shadows. You do not have to fight for a victory that has already been handed to you. Your only job today is to rest in the finished work. Walk through your day with a different posture. Keep your shoulders back and your head held high, not out of arrogance, but out of a quiet, royal identity. You are seen. You are deeply loved. You are accounted for. The universe is not random, and your tears were not wasted. The ledger is being balanced this morning. Every ounce of sorrow you swallowed is being repaid with a pound of joy. So let the morning light hit your face. Let the warmth remind you that the sun still rises, no matter how long and brutal the night was. You have survived every single bad day you have ever faced. Your success rate at overcoming impossible odds is exactly 100%. Now, the surviving is over, and the thriving begins. The locks have been turned. The heavy iron doors are swinging open, and the fresh air of a brand new reality is rushing in. Walk forward today with the absolute, unshakable certainty that heaven is moving on your behalf. The waiting room is closed. The hallway has been walked. The threshold is beneath your feet. Step through it. It is done. But even as you step through that doorway, I know the immediate thought that tries to hijack your brain. It's that sudden, dizzying wave of vertigo, isn't it? When you have been fighting in the trenches for so long, peace actually feels incredibly disorienting. You look around at this new open space, this sudden relief, and your brain, which has been wired for survival and emergency responses for years, starts frantically searching for the hidden trap. You catch yourself thinking, this is too good to be true. When is the other shoe going to drop? I need you to pause right here and recognize what that is. That is trauma talking, not truth. That is the phantom pain of an old season trying to convince you that the war is still happening, even though the treaty has already been signed. You have to actively give yourself permission to lower your weapons now. You do not need to walk through this new season wearing the heavy, dented armor that kept you alive in the wilderness. It's okay to feel exposed. It's okay to feel the terrifying vulnerability of actually being happy. You are not going to jinx your miracle by believing in it completely. Heaven didn't bring you this far, didn't painstakingly carve out this rescue plan just to pull the rug out from under you at the finish line. Let's be incredibly honest about the social cost of what you just walked through, because this is the part almost nobody talks about. While you were waiting for this breakthrough, you had to endure the well-meaning but ultimately agonizing commentary of everyone around you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It was the holiday dinners where relatives gave you that pitying look and asked, "So, any updates?" It was the friends who secretly thought your faith was just foolish stubbornness, gently suggesting that maybe you should lower your standards, settle for less, or accept that this is just how life is. And God, that hurt. It hurt worse than the actual waiting, because to them, your quiet, steadfast belief looked like denial. They didn't hear the whispers you heard in the dark. They didn't feel the conviction anchoring your soul. So you had to swallow their doubts on top of battling your own. You had to sit across the table from people who had settled for a mediocre existence, who had given up on their own dreams years ago, and smile politely while they projected their own limitations onto your life. You carried the agonizing isolation of holding a vision that only you and the Creator could see. But look at you now. The vindication you are stepping into isn't about rubbing it in their faces. It's about a quiet, undeniable testament that the voice you trusted was real all along. I want you to think about the physical toll this has taken on your body. The stress hasn't just been a mental concept. It has lived in your muscles, in your bones, in your shallow breathing. Think about how many mornings you've woken up with your jaw clenched tight, your shoulders pulled up to your ears, carrying a knot in your stomach that never seemed to dissolve. Think about the hair you've lost, the sleep you've been robbed of, the way your heart would suddenly race at the ping of an email or the ring of a phone because you were so conditioned to expect bad news. This miracle that is unfolding right now is not just a circumstantial shift, it is a profound, cellular healing. As the reality of your answered prayer begins to take root today, you are going to notice your physical body exhaling a breath it has been holding for years. You are going to realize, maybe on a random Tuesday afternoon while you're just making a cup of coffee, that your shoulders are relaxed. You'll notice that the background hum of anxiety, the white noise of panic that has been the soundtrack of your life, has been entirely unplugged. The Creator is not just fixing your situation, He is restoring the years that the stress stole from your physical vessel. There was a specific afternoon that stands out in the archives of your struggle, one that completely broke you open. You were sitting in your car, in a crowded parking lot. Maybe it was a grocery store or a doctor's office, with the engine turned off. Outside your windshield, the world was carrying on as normal. People were pushing carts, laughing, complaining about the weather, completely oblivious to the fact that the person sitting behind the glass of that car was shattered into a million pieces. You gripped the steering wheel so hard, your knuckles turned white. You couldn't even bring yourself to open the door and step into the public eye, because the effort of pasting on that fake, socially acceptable smile felt physically impossible. In that suffocating enclosure of your car, you didn't yell. You didn't even cry at first. You just slumped forward, rested your forehead against the cold steering wheel, and felt a profound, hollow emptiness. You whispered, "I am completely out of options. I have nothing left to try." You felt like an absolute failure. You felt like you had done everything right, played by all the rules, worked harder than anyone else, and still ended up stranded in a parking lot with zero fuel left in your tank. But I need to reframe that parking lot moment for you, because what felt like the absolute end of your rope was actually the precise coordinate where divine intervention was dispatched. When you finally ran out of your own brilliant ideas, when your relentless hustling hit a brick wall, you inadvertently created a space for heaven to step in. As long as you were trying to force the lock, God was standing back, honoring your free will. But the second you let go of the steering wheel, literally and figuratively, the master key was turned. That profound emptiness you felt wasn't a void of failure. It was a clearing out of the debris. It was the necessary demolition of your reliance on your own strength. You had to see that your own hands couldn't build it, so that when the blessing arrived, you would know without a shadow of a doubt that it was a pure, unadulterated gift from the divine, not a product of your own exhausted striving. Let's talk about the things you thought were rejections along the way. You cried agonizing tears over doors that slammed violently in your face. There was a specific opportunity, a job, a relationship, a house, a contract that you prayed desperately for. You fasted for it. You bargained with God for it. And when the answer came back as a harsh, unyielding no, it felt like a betrayal. You questioned your own intuition. You felt foolish for ever getting your hopes up. But if you could look behind the curtain of time right now, if you could see what the universe saw, you would fall to your knees in absolute gratitude for those closed doors. The job you thought was your dream would have placed you under a tyrannical boss that would have destroyed your mental health. The person who walked away from you, The one whose departure left you feeling unlovable was secretly harboring character flaws that would have trapped you in a decade of emotional manipulation. The timing you begged for would have placed you in the exact wrong place at the exact wrong time. Every single no was a barricade erected by a fiercely protective father who refused to let you settle for a counterfeit version of your destiny. You weren't being rejected. You were being redirected. You were being kept safe in the waiting room because the main stage wasn't ready for your entrance yet. Now, the transition into this new reality requires a completely new skill set from you. You have a PhD in surviving trauma, but you are a beginner at sustaining joy. You are going to have to actively train your brain to accept good things without suspicion. When someone gives you a genuine compliment today, you cannot deflect it or make a self-deprecating joke. You have to look them in the eye and say thank you, allowing the kindness to actually land in your heart. When you look at your bank account and finally see surplus instead of lack, you cannot immediately panic about a hypothetical unexpected bill that might drain it. You have to sit in the chair, take a deep breath, and let the feeling of financial security wash over you, knowing that the same God who provided the surplus has the power to protect it. It sounds simple, but learning to tolerate goodness after a lifetime of hardship is one of the hardest emotional hurdles you will ever cross. Your nervous system is going to try to create chaos simply because chaos is familiar. When your life gets quiet and peaceful, your brain will scream that something is wrong. You must gently, firmly talk back to that fear. You must remind yourself daily, sometimes hourly, I am safe now. The war is over. Consider the profound shift that is happening in your daily environment. The way you walk through the grocery store, the way you drive down the highway, everything is going to carry a different frequency. You used to walk through the world defensive, wrapped in a protective shell, trying not to be seen because you didn't have the energy to interact. But as this miracle takes root in your spirit, your literal countenance is changing. People are going to start looking at you differently. Strangers will be drawn to you. They won't know why, but they will sense an undeniable light, an aura of settled peace that is incredibly rare in this chaotic world. You are going to become a walking sanctuary for other broken people. You won't even have to preach or give advice. Just your presence, the calm rhythm of your voice, the empathy in your eyes will minister to people who are currently standing in the same dark valleys you just climbed out of. Your pain was the intense fiery forge that shaped you into a key. And today, God is using you to unlock the cages of the people around you. Your victory is not a solo event. It is a community rescue mission. I want to take you to a very specific moment that is waiting for you in the near future. It's a quiet Tuesday evening, maybe 3 or 4 months from now. The initial shock of the miracle has worn off, and it has settled into the beautiful rhythm of your everyday life. You are doing something completely mundane, folding laundry, washing dishes, or watering a plant by the window. The golden hour light is filtering through the glass, casting a warm glow across your floor. And suddenly, it will hit you. You will stop what you are doing, the dish towel still in your hands, and you will look around your life. You will realize that the agonizing prayers you used to scream into your pillow are now just the normal, everyday reality you are living in. The desperate, tear-soaked journal entries from 2 years ago read like fiction compared to the absolute abundance of your present moment. In that quiet, sunlit room, you won't shout. A single tear of profound, quiet awe will slip down your cheek. You will whisper a thank you into the empty room. And for the first time in your entire life, your soul will feel completely, entirely at home. That moment is already scheduled on the calendar of heaven. It is rushing toward you at the speed of light. You see, the enemy's greatest tactic wasn't to destroy you completely. It was to exhaust you into quitting right before the finish line. He knows he cannot change the decrees of God, but he can try to wear out the saints. That is why the opposition got so intensely personal, so incredibly petty, and so heavily concentrated in these last few weeks. It was a desperate, last-ditch effort to get you to forfeit your own miracle by walking off the field 1 minute before the clock ran out. But you didn't. Against all logic, despite the bruising, despite the heavy bleeding of your spirit, you stayed planted. You kept waking up. You kept putting one foot in front of the other. You kept choosing to breathe even when the air felt like glass. That stubborn, relentless endurance is what heaven honors above all else. You didn't have to have perfect faith. You just had to have a mustard seed that refused to die. And from that tiny, battered seed, an entire forest is erupting around you today. So let the old identity die today. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances. You are no longer the person who always gets the short end of the stick. You are no longer the forgotten sibling, the overlooked employee, the abandoned friend. Strip off those labels right now. They are expired. They do not fit the person you have become in the fire. You are walking into a season of unprecedented favor, where doors will swing open for you without you even having to knock. Opportunities will hunt you down. The right people, the right resources, the exact right conversations will align with mathematical precision. You don't have to strive for it. You just have to stay in alignment and receive it. The heavy lifting is over. The struggle has served its purpose. Breathe in the fresh air of this new morning. Hold your head high and step boldly into the life that has always had your name on it. If this message has spoken directly to your soul today, if you feel the chains breaking as you listen, I invite you to subscribe and join this community so we can continue to walk in this light together. Welcome to your new life. It is finally, truly, unconditionally done.
Child, before you go, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell icon, and comment if you believe I am guiding your life. May blessings follow you today.